and I hope it's true.
All right, I know because I heard that too. Hello, hello. I'm sorry. You caught us behind the scenes talking or screen talking. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Ponders. We're giving everybody a minute to jump in with us. All
I
right.
hope everyone enjoyed last night's episode. It just, as usual, raised more questions than it provided answers, but I'm still on the edge of my seat and just can't wait for next Sunday.
I know. I mean, and I can't wait to share all our thoughts and what everyone is thinking. So before I forget, we have some new friends. And I'm just going to highlight, this is one of our new friends. This is Audrey. She says, hi, my first time here. Love the show, but I'm confused about who is who and hope to learn more tonight. Thank you. We will try our best not to confuse you.
Although, Audrey, I've got to tell you, everyone that you learn about, just go make them ×2.
I know, because you got to get used to the 1999 and then the present time, right?
Two versions of everyone.
Yes. All right. So everyone's just saying hello, 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 hello. All right. So before I forget, I didn't do a close-up photo because just life got away from me. And so instead I have some quotes, and they're not difficult. I think they're more funny and fun. So I'm going to announce like at about 8:08 what the quote is. And you should have it all ready and put your answer of who said the quote and put it in the comments if you want. If you don't want to play, you don't have to. And then whoever shows up first at 8:10 will get put into our pool of winners, because at the very end of the season, we have a prize. And then we're going to do at 8:30, you'll have to post for another quote, and 8:45. So we have 3 tonight. And
all times, because Roxanne is in Eastern time zone. So if you're in another time zone, don't worry. When she sees the comments, it shows up in her time zone. So if you're in Central, do it for 7:10. That's what she's looking for.
Right. So it's on the hour. So whatever time zone you're in, if it's 5 o'clock or if it's 7 o'clock or if it's whatever o'clock, it would be 10 after, half past, and then quarter of. So you're all good.
Yep.
Don't you wary. We know we got that part right. Thank you for saying that. All right. I got people. So where do you want to start, Kathy? We have so much to talk about. People are already talking about certain things already. What do you want to go with?
There's a lot to unpack.
Yes. Where should we start?
I loved most of the show.
Yes.
My favorite was, of course, Kat and Elliot. It seems like they got so much closer. I adored the shout out to She's All That. That was too perfect. It just seems like they know they're meant for each other. It's like, just get it on, get on with it. And Brady knows too, I suspect, because he was acting a little jealous. One of my favorite lines, and I can't, now I'm blanking, but I wrote this down yesterday, Roxanne. Dell's line, well, this has been a great regression fest or something.
Oh, with the 3 of you watching them regress? Yes.
Well, it's been fun watching you regress, but I've got to go and have a life.
So I have dinner with a real adult.
Yeah, that was classic stuff. The dance they shared, and then they had to go ruin it for me with the scene with Brady and Kat. But I think it served its purpose, because she was like, nope, we're not going there. This was nice while it lasted, but we're not married anymore. Go back to Rachel. One of the big takeaways I took away was we haven't seen a real antagonist yet in this show, and or otherwise known as the big bad, and we haven't seen that person. I was speculating. I think the antagonist is there. It's just hidden right now, and we haven't seen him or her. And I was speculating it might be Byron, because he's just a little too vanilla. He's just too nice guy. So I'm thinking there may be a little hidden agenda there. I'm wondering why they're bringing up Nick. I don't, for one New York minute, believe that they are going to go there with Alice and a 40-year-old Nick. I don't think that's happening, but there's some reason they're bringing him up.
I agree.
So, yeah, it might be comedy relief. He'll show up and be a total dork now. So I'm not sure what that was all about. And then I've seen really interesting speculation on why they keep bringing up Brady's blood type. And I know the reason I hope they keep bringing it up, but we don't know. I just can't wait for the next, what is it? Last night was number 5.
Yes, we're going into 6 now.
We've got 5 more, and I have the feeling they're going to leave us on a big old cliffhanger that it's going to kill me till next season. But I keep loving the show more and more. I keep waiting for the bubble to burst. Like, okay, it was nice while it lasted, but I just keep on loving it.
I know. Let's go back to when you started to touch on the whole advice for him to play the long game. Okay. I clicked on Diane's, but I thought I clicked on the one where she was said about, okay, this is the one. That's the one I wanted. I was wondering what was going. No, I'm clicking all the wrong ones. Sorry. Diane said, or was it my first time? Okay. All right. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Someone was talking about, we were clicking back to the whole thing with Brady and their kiss and their whole relationship and all of that. I wanted to touch on that before we moved ahead. I was thinking, because people were like, why would they have kissed? That made me so upset. There was the comment where she's like, what are you telling me this for, when they were sitting on the porch? And he's like, you're my best friend for more than half my life, most of my life, just because they sort of fell out of love or had bumps in the road or whatever. The relationship wasn't, for the long haul. That's who we would always share stuff with. And she kind of looked at him and thought, yeah, okay, I get it. And when they kissed, I think it was just like they hadn't kissed for a very long time. And obviously at one time they were very much attracted to each other and loved each other. And to me, it wasn't like a kiss. Oh, that's me. Hold on. That's me saying, all right, before we go any further, let me do the trivia for you. So when it's 10 after, that's when you can hit the send in the comment section. So here's the quote. The quote is, I guess some people really don't stray far from home. So who says that? Who is the person that says that? Which character? I'm going to say it again. I guess some people really don't stray far from home. And when it is 10 after, you can hit the send button in the comments. So anyway, back to my thing with Brady. I thought it was more like, I don't know, like
it almost had an air of desperation.
Yes. And then that's why she was like, she stops and she's like, no, with this isn't where I am. Mm-hmm. We're done. We missed that, and he's being very much his, I don't know. A lot of times, I'm not trying to make it stereotypical, but a lot of times when men get to be a certain age and they start looking at their life and thinking about what could have been or what may have changed, they make ridiculous decisions. I know women do it too, but like his girlfriend is 20, what is she, 26 or 4, whatever. And he said living with her wasn't easy. And she's like, what do you expect? She's like, not of your age. What'd you think?
Yeah.
Which I loved. I thought that was great. So I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried about him being like, for now, I don't think he'll be a block to a relationship that she could have with Elliot. But I also do not think that they would put Elliot and Kat together yet. I
don't think so either. And I don't think they're going to be Brady is a block to them. I just didn't like Elliot hurt.
Yeah.
He looked out the window and his heart broke a little bit more,
Yeah.
And I'm glad he gave her the cold shoulder in that final scene. And she's all, and he's like, yeah, right.
I loved the scene where they were having dinner. That house, by the way, is gorgeous. I love that house. And
okay,
I love
got answers.
Oh, it became 8:10.
Yep.
All right. We got some answers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We'll go down here. Who was first? Do you know?
at 10 after the hour, I'm seeing
I have a lot with 8:10. It has to be whoever was first. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Deborah.
Who is it?
Deborah.
All right. I know. I'm sorry. Hold on, people. This is a good time to take a sip of water.
And I don't know if Deborah is from St. Louis, but it's Deborah STL.
Oh. All right. So on my end, the first person she did it too early. Oh, too early. People did it too early.
People did it too early, or a few people did it too early.
All right. I got it. I found her. And yes, so Deborah STL. All right. I'm putting you in, Deborah. Deborah, are you new to our podcast? Are you a new friend? And if you're not, please don't be insulted. Sometimes people don't like share often for whatever reasons, and then I don't remember all the names. Do you remember Deborah's name showing up before?
I don't, but I'm bad with names.
Okay.
I barely remember yours from week to week.
That's okay. Just say, hey, you. I'm all right with it, girl. Hey, girl. All right.
I'm wondering if Elliot's ex is going to show up at some point.
Yes.
It'd be really nice to see Kat jealous of him for a change.
And do you think, I think he married somebody that's not from the town. I think he married.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, usually these kinds of things go either he married someone who was diametrically opposite of Kat, or he married someone who was exactly like her. So it'll be funny to see if the character shows up. It'll be funny to see who that is. I think it'd be funny if he had ended up with some really outgoing, overblown character that you wouldn't associate with the quiet science teacher.
Right, would put him with. Okay, that's cute. That would be fun. Hallmark, are you listening? So I don't even.
You know, Roxanne, Deborah's saying she's been here before. That's okay. It absolutely is. Yeah, we just wanted to see if you were first time.
I have your name down. You're in the pool. You're in the pool for winning the end prize. Okay, so back to the storyline. I was thinking about like Brady. Will he be back? What would be the need for him to be back? Or is this his exit for the storyline for the rest of the season? And the only reason why I was bringing that up is because in my database, he's only in a few episodes. And I think it said 4. I'd have to go back and check. And he was definitely in this last episode, what was that, 5?
He was in 1, he was in 3.
He was definitely in 4. And he was definitely in the first. So I think we've been seeing him all along. So it might be like, maybe it's his
last episode.
I don't know, for the season.
To wrap it up, yeah.
And I love how the two of them, their looks that they gave each other, they must, like, I posted some behind the scenes photos that they had of like the different dinner scenes. And I think it must have been so much fun when they were in present time and they're standing over that island, like Elliot gives him a look and he gives him a look and they have a little smirk. It is so great.
Yeah, they acted that scene really well.
It was believable, and all the little digs that they gave each other. And Kat's like, I need some wine. Let's open that wine.
You know what was cool though, when Brady left and he said, well, I guess I'll go back to the hotel. There was never any thought of Elliot leaving. He's like, nah, now let's sit down and dish. I just thought that was great. It's like, this is their home almost. And yes, Brady, you got to leave, but Elliot can stay. And Del, oh my gosh. Do you have a favorite much, Del? Yeah, it's a family dinner and I invited Elliot because he's like family. It's like she was just twisting that knife a little bit. I loved it.
I know. Not a little. She twisted it a lot.
I know. Del's a piece of work.
So then she went, now let's get back to your theory about who is going to wind up being a real antagonist. So Del decides to leave and go have dinner with, what is it, Byron?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like there's no chemistry there.
Nope.
It's kind of boring.
Yep.
But I think it's boring on purpose. And then how about when they're in the theater and he reaches for her hand and she allows it for a minute, but then
until Colton showed up on the screen, it's like, yeah, I'm still in love with my dead husband, so I'm not feeling this.
She took the hand away. No, I love the relationship of her and Rita because it's real. Because real friends have big arguments and messy arguments like they did. So then when he shows up and sees them again, he's like, "You're okay, you two?" And they're like, "Yeah," like water under the bridge kind of thing. And when Dell turns him down originally for dinner, and Rita says, like, "Why did you turn him down?" She goes, "Yeah, I did." And she goes, "You don't even like him." She goes, "Yeah, but I like you. And I can see that you want to."
That's a real friendship.
I was like, "Oh, I love that. That's cute. I liked it. I like their friendship. To me, it's very much believable. And I like it because Rita is a brat. She's bratty. Do you know what I mean? Almost a little bit like Rosemary.
Reminds me of me, yeah.
She does remind you of you. Like she always also goes over the top and meddles in and has a lot to say.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it reminds me, and When Calls the Heart, a bit of like Rosemary, like when she was given the job to do the slideshow. Well, poor Dell had all that hard work to do. She's like, "Oh, I know it's going to take forever to do." And,
you know, I have this feeling, totally in my warped brain, that by the time this is all said and done, the final episode is going to be where someone went back and changed time. And I don't know if it's Alice or Kat or Dell, because I believe Dell also knows about this whole time traveling thing. I think that maybe they will change because of what they do in the past. They're going to change events in the future. And so we're going to end up in present day that has been changed based on what they did. And all the people we want to see be alive and together are going to be alive and together.
okay.
And meanwhile, I was telling Roxanne earlier, you guys who are members of the Way Home Facebook page, and if you're not, go over there. We're having a blast theorizing and conjecturing and talking about stuff. But I've seen a couple of interesting ideas or speculation about what goes on. One of them was involving Jake and the possibility that someone was trying to protect him. And I don't know if it's Alice going back to the past or Kat kept going to the past and, taking him, running with him, and somehow they both end up in the pond and get separated and he's in another time zone or something. And then the other one is the whole speculation of why they keep bringing up Brady's blood type. There's got to be a reason for that. I know what I hope the reason is, but we shall see what we shall see.
Would you tell us what you hope the reason is?
I don't know how they would do this. I mean, I think logically they could do it, but I would love it if it turns out that Elliot is in fact Alice's father.
Yeah. And they were very young, they said, when they had her.
Yep. And it could be, a night of drunken revelry and nobody remembers, what happened. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. But they keep bringing up his blood type for a reason.
They did twice. We saw that. But I think what I think is funny is that, so her father is Indian, right? Or Middle Eastern, probably Indian. It's Indian.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And they made her have that dark hair and dark complexion. But then again, we don't know anything about Elliot, who his father and mother are. You don't know what we haven't met.
Why he's living in their barn? He's always there. He's, they never go to visit him at his house. His house is the barn.
We could meet the dad, and his dad could be Indian, and his mother was, we don't know. Like a whole bunch of things can happen, but and that it's so rare too. It's not like it's A or B, So I'm latching on to that too, like other people are with their comments.
Yep.
Which maybe that's one of the jaw-dropping things that, remember, she said when Alex was on, Alex Hook, who is young Kat, said her jaw dropped at the end. And even when we mentioned it to Spencer, the actor who plays Spencer, he said, it can go so many different ways. Speaking of him, I loved it. I think there's going to be a relationship between he and Kat. I've said this before. Don't you? Not Kat, Alice. Don't you think?
I don't know. I mean, what's going to happen? Zoe is I don't think Zoe has had 2 lines in the whole series, but I felt bad for her he's going to dump her for Alice. I don't think that's right. And she's still longing for Nick. Who knows? I don't know. I think they are headed that way. I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, I saw him watch her when she was walking away at the dance. Like she said, I have to go. He was like, he had this like longing look as she was leaving. So I don't know. I see little glimpses every now and again, and who knows how it goes, like, I don't know. I just have a feeling about it. Now, the Nick, I mean, that to me, out of this whole episode, Nick, it was Nick all over the place, wasn't it?
It was. And there's a reason for that too. See, I wonder if Nick, somewhere along the way, has a son of his own who's now, 18 or 19 and looks exactly like him. So we can save money and get the same actor back to play him. And he and Alice could get together. Who knows?
By the way, his first name is Samuel, and he is our guest next Monday. He'll be on with us. So excited. I let him pick the date, and he picked that one. I mean, it would have been great because we just were Nick, but maybe we'll get even more information next time.
And next Sunday.
Do it. Yeah. So if we all have very good observers here. When she was on social media and she was looking, you never saw Nick's face. You saw Nick and his leather outfit. It looked like he had a motorcycle helmet in his hand. You saw all the places he had been. You saw when he was in the wedding and he was his best man. It's a picture of him with the ring in his hand up to this point, and he's handing it to Elliot. And I love when she marked those two. When those two, they're my favorite people to share screen time. Is Alice and
Elliot,
young Elliot, and present time Elliot. When
didn't they have a scene last night where he said something to her, and then they cut to the past, and he was saying the exact same thing to her. I don't know what the quote was.
And she's like, I already heard this about, like, no, it's wrong. I love when he says no, and it's now illegal. Like, she was so young to be, because people are like, why would she? That's gross. Want to see him. And because she's a young girl, she's thinking with her young mind. She doesn't, like, she just wanted to see him. But I don't know.
Cringy.
I know it's so, because it's cringy, and I think they handled it well. Like, oh no, you can't do it. It's illegal. What else? I remember when Elliot says, and don't follow me into this room, and he shuts the door on her.
Because she keeps embarrassing him at school.
I know. And the mother accosting him on the front lawn and saying stuff, and everybody's like, he's like looking around.
Oh, that was one of my favorites. What was she upset about? You've been lying to me for 20 years. He goes, you've just discovered time travel, and this is what you are annoyed about. Elliot gets the best lines.
And then when he's trying to explain stuff, and she goes, sciencey words, like science words, like.
And he'd have to break it down.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I don't know. What are our theories out there about this Nick? What if Nick has a bigger part than we realize? So let's park that for just a hot minute. Someone was saying that, and I agree with this, there's so much of the book Alice in Wonderland, the Alice Adventures, right? There's so much of the story that revolves around it, and that the rabbit hole, the pond is like the rabbit hole. And Alice is always in a rush, checking her clock. What time is it? Always late, just like Alice in the story. And so there were a lot of references. And I'm wondering if that's the case, and we start looking at it that way, who now, isn't the rabbit the one who is always giving her advice and in her ear and helping? So that would be like Elliot. Who would Nick be?
If he's anyone.
I know. I'm trying to see how much of a parallel there is through those two stories. I'm going to have to do a deep dive. So back to the Nick character. Maybe my one reasoning is that they never showed what his face looked like in present time, because they just aren't going to get an actor yet. They don't have an actor for it. They don't know. They know that's something down the road. That's why they're building up to the mystery. I don't know. Or maybe there's a really big, oh my gosh. What do you think?
I'm wondering if we've already seen him, even if it's just peripheral. curly, but I can't remember seeing any big, tall, blonde guys
Yeah.
on the canvas. I don't know.
Do you remember they said when they were closing the theater that they were going to all of the two women's their children were going to be there. Like they have more than one child, all of them, and maybe even Nick.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering who Nick's biological family is because he has two moms. I'm wondering if there's something in his genealogy that allows him to time travel. Couldn't that come up later on?
It could.
It could, maybe. I don't know. All right. So people have all kinds of things in here.
Only the Landrys can time travel, but you're saying maybe he's a Landry. Now
Maybe
that would be icky.
Yeah, but no, I mean through somewhere. I mean it's through. Well, why couldn't
he made out with Alice? That would just be icky.
Well, I was just thinking about uncles and like from back in the time, cousins. No, that's not her uncle. I'm saying there could be other branches. Okay. All right. Never mind. I believe that before the season ends, adult Nick and Alice will meet. That could possibly be the season cliffhanger.
Well, I speculated that there's going to be an episode if they do bring Nick back, that adult Nick will be there and living life, and present day Alice will show up and he'll take one look and go, Alice. And that will be the way the scene, the episode ends, because he will recognize her.
Okay. Although no one else did. Her mother didn't recognize her. Why would
I think that we shut that down. I mean, it's just our mind can't comprehend it, so we don't recognize it. Okay. Except for Elliot, of course, the time traveling guide.
Yeah, he's been waiting. It says, why would Alice think that Nick would be an option for her? And wouldn't Nick recognize her no matter what time they are in? Right, Deb? That's what we were talking about just now. And we've been always talking about this the whole night. And a lot of people don't recognize a lot of people. So I don't know.
And we have to give a little dramatic license because it's a TV show.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. So I have the alarm on for the second quote. So when it is 1/2 past, whatever time zone you're in, if it's 8:30, 7:30, 5:30, 6:30, wherever you are, this is this one. Okay. Ready? Who said this? Love is love. Okay. And age is but a number. Love is love, okay, and age is but a number. All right. Okay, so who are we? All right, so where are we with our storyline things that we're trying to, disappointed they didn't, I'm just looking at some of the things people are saying. So disappointed that they didn't show the entire scene where Brady cut in the dance between Kelliot. So, you wanted to, there's more that was that what was mentioned? I think there was, I didn't watch the whole thing. There was a podcast with Kat and Elliot, with the two actors, and they were talking about all different things. And I guess part of that scene was cut, and this is what we're referencing here. I know I would love to see more of it too, but it still, regardless, was wonderful. Right? Yeah. Let's see. What's this? Oh, okay. The look on Elliot's face when he saw Kat kissing Brady just broke my heart.
Yeah. He was all pumped up too. She's mine for the night. She's going to be my date for the night, and we're having fun dancing. And then he saw that, and it just like deflated him.
Mm-hmm. I know. What's this? Alice may be Nick's one that got away, or the unfinished romance. Nick may still wonder whatever happened to Alice. Yes, I was thinking that too, Kay. Maybe that's why he's traveled. And he also said as a kid, he wanted to get out of town and get and see the world. And she says to him, you will, And do you think maybe he was there, but we just don't know he was there on that date?
It could be, but I don't think so, because his parents would have recognized him. They would have acknowledged him. I think Elliot and Nick were best friends back in '99. And I think they each had an unattainable love. Like for Nick, it was Alice, and for Elliot, it was Kat. And I think they, spent the rest of their lives up to date, just trying to find that kind of love again. Elliot's been divorced. I got the impression Nick is divorced too. I don't know why I think that, but he may have multiple divorces under his belt.
I didn't think he was married at all.
Well, that was the wedding. Elliot was his best man.
No, he was Elliot's best man.
Oh, okay. I totally misunderstood that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe he is just wandering, looking for the, the kind of love he had as a 17-year-old, which is really sad.
All those years. Teenage Nick and Alice connected in a big way. Elliot told Alice that Nick was now old enough to be her father, and a relationship in the present day would be against the law. I know, it was hilarious. Mm-hmm. And the way he said it too, he was like, no. And when she came back and she goes, why not? And he's like, no. Do we have answers, by the way, to that? Oh, we should have some winners.
Oh gosh, I forgot. Yeah. So we're looking for 10 after. I don't see any yet. Oh, here, I'm seeing them now. Oh, so this is half hour. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Kathy. So that's 8:28, 8:28, 8:29, 8:29, 8:30. Check out 8:30 your time and see if you're seeing Kelly.
I'm sure I am. We would have the same thing. Thank you for your patience on this. Again, it's always a good time to take a drink. All right, I have a whole bunch of names. Let's see. You're looking for Kelly, you said?
Kelly Robinson, which for some reason makes me think of I Spy. Do you remember Kelly Robinson? You're too young. You're all too young. Never mind.
I know what I Spy is.
Well, the TV show?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What?
There's an old TV show about spies and tennis players.
So, for who do you think it's Deborah? Isn't it again?
Oh, we want to give someone else a shot.
It says 8:30. Deborah is by the first one because 8:29 was Jean, then Jean, and then it was Deborah at 8:30, and then under that is like Kelly as Robert, and then it's also Kelly. So Kelly, we're going to put you in because it is definitely Alice who says that. Because Deborah, you're already in. All right, we have you in. Although if people won more than one time, it's okay. We could put their name in more than one time. I'll just put a little star by you, Deborah. And we're making up the game ourselves, so we can change the rules anytime we want. We add Kelly. All right, good. Okay, so now, okay, let's talk about that scene where Kat is like she sees the poster and then she leaves because she sees that poster in those boxes of memorabilia about her brother being missing. Mm. And then she goes and she winds up in the pond and she's out hiding by that limb that fell or that tree trunk that fell. And her brother hears her and they can see her hand and he's like, it's the White Witch. And he runs away. Right. Mm-hmm. But it's her from present time. Then when they were sitting down at the dinner table, that's when Brady is there and having his first real dinner with all of them. Jacob brings that up. Jacob says, we saw the White Witch. And so she was there even then. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I really think that then we saw in the previews for if you don't want to hear this, plug your ears. Did you see the previews where they're walking through the woods and it's present day Kat holding the hand of Jacob from the back? And I think that when people are saying that they jump in, like they're going to wind up
in the pond.
Yes, and somehow being separated. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Let's see. Catherine says pond water makes the Jumpers and Landry family forget
Yeah,
faces.
yeah, that could be it.
Maybe it does something to them. Like, I forget which actor said this to us. They could go anywhere they want with this storyline. They have so many different interpretations that they have.
Except Elliot sees all, knows all. He's retained all his memories of the people from the past. It'll be interesting to see if teen Elliot encounters present day Kat. That would be an interesting scene.
Yeah, because then he would have remembered it and it didn't happen.
Well, we don't know that he doesn't remember it. He hasn't said anything about it, but he hadn't said anything about any of it before Alice got into that pond. Elliot keeps his own counsel.
He does, and my brain hurts from it.
Yeah.
Deborah says, I'm really curious about the preview for next week. At the very end, we saw a small child who is obviously Jacob walking down a path. Is that Kat? Yes, it is. It is her because she has the same clothes on, and then wherever they're going, they're holding hands. But what I find amazing is he doesn't know what adult Kat looks like. So why would he hold the hand of a stranger?
Because it was 1999.
Yeah, in the woods. 1999 is not 1979.
I know, but he was raised in a very sheltered environment on a farm. He wasn't taught about stranger danger.
So the article there, I'm sorry if I'm yelling. So let's getting back to Byron. There's the article that Kat was reading. Not Kat. Alice was reading a way back in episode 1 or 2, I forget. And it was on that microfiche, and someone had blown it up and you could read it. And it was like a story within a story. So apparently when Jacob goes missing, there's a news article that comes out, and there is a story out, and they talk about how that hasn't happened since 1969. Is that what the date was? Where there were 2 boys that were only about a year apart, and they were the one brother was mentally ill, it mentioned, and he goes missing. That was the last time something like that ever happened. And it was around Halloween time. That's why you see the pumpkin and whatnot. That was in the article. So when Jacob went missing and they put an article out there, that person came forward and was telling their story.
That's interesting.
I know. How does that get weaved in, I wonder?
I don't think we have a clue, and we're not going to have a clue until the writers start telling us what the heck is going on.
I know. And they start doing that. Tony's saying this right now, and she's correct. What about Kat and Elliot pouring through all of the clues to missing Jacob? She convinces him because he's like, what about the butterfly effect and all that other stuff? He wasn't too happy with trying to play around with time. And it looks like she convinces him in the next episode. And that is probably how she goes about getting to meet him and talk to him and maybe try to take him through maybe he can't time travel and he drowns in that pond. Oh God.
Who, Jacob?
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
All right. Okay. Christina says maybe Jacob is in the present time and not in the area and doesn't understand about the pond because he was just too young to get it. Maybe they get separated somehow. And Kathy, you're right. Kathy Williams, what about that notebook? What is in it? Do you think someone's going to find it and read it?
Only Alice or Kat, one of them. And I think Dell knows a whole lot more than she's letting on at the moment. She's really good at keeping it all on the down low.
Timothy, I saw a head up here, and you made it to I think it was you who were wondering how to get to the page. I noticed at the top up here, somewhere you were mentioning about season 2. I don't know. Kathy and I kind of have it on good authority that there is a season 2.
But we can't guarantee it.
Right. But it really, there's
looking good for season 2.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were all in the writer's room, heads together, writing away.
I think I don't think they would have even started this and started rolling out this mystery if they didn't know how it was going to wrap up.
Yes.
So I think they got it plotted out. They know where things are going to go, where things are going, and where they're going to end up. Whether or not they'll get the chance to tell the whole story is a whole different matter. That's up to Hallmark. We can't speculate on that. But I think the buzz on this show has been phenomenal. People are really enjoying it. They're saying this is something really different from Hallmark, and we're loving it. I think it could easily eclipse other shows on here. I can't say enough positive stuff about it.
Me neither. I'm loving it too. Arlene says Kat has her clue board in the next episode, so she and Elliot must use the archives at Byron's newspaper. Yep. So will Byron spill the beans to Dell about the research? Yeah, I know. You know what? Someone's asking about the ratings. I do. I saw them. I don't have them in front of me, and I have to say that they're excellent. Actually, they were pleasantly surprised by how well that the show is doing. Not that they thought it would be a failure, but
It's something so new for them.
Yeah,
they weren't quite sure what to expect, I believe.
I think it exceeded their expectations. Let's see. What's this one here? Elliot has kept things from Alice until it happened, so I wouldn't be surprised if. Okay, the same with Kat, and that's true. He has. Yes, you're right. Okay, and then we have. They're saying, Robert, that is a good question. That's what Janice said. After all, that's how this whole thing started. Okay, Robert, we got to go back. Where's he saying? Who said? Yes, I saw that. Who do you think sent the letter to Dell that started her to even get there?
I don't know. I first thought it was Elle, but that's kind of obvious, so I'm not sure. It could be somebody from the past who is now in the present, or, I don't know.
What if it's someone like Danny? We really only saw Danny for a minute. And I have to tell, that's our last question that we're going to ask. Okay, I'm going to ask the last question, and you're all going to get it. It's kind of funny. It was like one of my favorite little tidbits and lines in the storyline. And I want to know who said this. How many potato salads have you tried? And it was so great. People put things up on the fan page. How many potato salads have you tried? You have to wait for quarter of, and then you can put it in. I don't know. We saw Danny in present time for a flash. He's got to come back. I'm not okay. All right. So I saw something in another show that clicked and made me think this. Maybe maybe whatever happened to Jacob is not so much about time travel, and like maybe he saw something he should not have seen. He's always out exploring. Remember we talked about this? He and Danny together saw something he shouldn't have seen. And for whatever reason, maybe someone thought that, like, I'm just going out on a limb here, they could have done anything to him. He could have jumped in the pond to get away from them, and then he time traveled somewhere. Or maybe he's still alive and he's been kidnapped. Who knows? Because they have that fishing industry. And they didn't just pick that section for a set for nothing. And they talk about the fishing industry, and they celebrate it with Lobster Fest, right? So there's a show I watch on Acorn. It's on TV, and it's, I forgot the name of the town. It's a fishing town, not far, in England. And they were talking about, was my dad a smuggler? And she's like, all fishermen have the opportunity to smuggle. People I'll go and ask all fishermen are approached. That's a decision they have to make because they're in the most ideal spot to smuggle. And I was like, maybe there was some kind of smuggling going on. And those two kids, or he, stumbles on something. I don't know. I'm something. Like you said, there has to be someone who can't be trusted, someone who is the antagonist in the storyline.
Yep.
And I don't mean antagonist pain in the neck like Brady
villain.
is, like a true villain, right? Okay. Do we have our winners for the last one, the potato salad?
We do. It looks like at 8:45, first one was Miriam.
All right, Miriam. All right, I'm putting you down, Miriam. Miriam. Okay. And what's going to happen is the winner's going to get a big basket of lobster salad, potato salad, and lemonade sent to you. No, I'm only kidding, but that would be nice. I wouldn't mind some lobster salad, potato salad, and lemonade.
You know you're on a podcast and your words can be used in the deposition. Don't be promising people stuff.
All right. So let's look at these last questions and then we can wrap it up. Again, I don't want you to forget that next week, same time, same place. Our guest is, and you know what? Our guest is Nick, but I want to get his name correct. What's it? Samuel. I'm sorry. And forgive me. I'm being a terrible co-host. The way home. Okay. There are some fun facts about him. He does have a history with, sorry, I'm saying, he has a history with Hallmark, which is cool. And we'll talk about that when we get to meet him. I'll let him share all his good stuff. Let's see. What is Samuel's last name? I'll find it. I just don't want to have dead air. What if Jacob traveled? Okay. So let's talk about some of these things. And then before we wrap up, Kathy, we have to talk about the titles of all of the episodes so far.
And I have one last theory.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Let's hear that theory. Go ahead.
I have this theory that Jacob somehow ended up in the pond, whatever. I don't know why, but he ended up in the pond. He ended up in a different location and he has grown up and they just don't know that it's Jacob. He may even be in town. I don't know. Somebody adopted him, whatever. Or he remembers who he is, but just isn't sharing everything. What if he's the one that sent the letter?
And tries to get his family back, or maybe
because he would be in his early 30s, I think.
Or maybe he even didn't know who he was, had amnesia, whatever, and then things came back, and then he tried to figure out how to get them all back, and he sent. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah. Nick's name is Samuel Bruin, or Braun, Braun. That is his. Braun. Okay. He's a cutie patootie too. I can't wait for him to come on. He's been acting for Hallmark since he was a young guy. He's still young, but like a young guy. All right. Somebody thinks Rita's the villain. Rita's just pain in the neck, I think. Yeah. Jan has a theory, and then we'll talk about the different titles. Hey, what if Jacob fell into the water and hit his head? Someone pulled him out of the water, but Jacob didn't remember who he was. Sure. This is, there's so many, that's plausible. Was Jacob at the Lobster Fest in the background?
Could have been. We don't know.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Now, Greg is saying there was an article on Kat's whiteboard in the preview that the fisherman found Jacob's carnival prize at either the shore or in the water. Cannot remember which. Yes, I think that's why we see the scene where his dad goes on that boat. And when he pulls up, because he's just, he's like so upset and it's late at night, he kind of scratches the side of the boat. And he's like, I think he says he's not out there or something. What's he say exactly? Something along those lines. He wasn't there. So I think it's in the nighttime. So yes, I think it's more of the ocean water where they think he might be. I mean, that's what it was looking like. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are doing the whole he traveled back in time. Someone has a question for us. This is Audrey. Hi, Audrey. New to the show. Why did Dell ask Kat and Alice to come back?
She didn't.
Well, in the letter, she did. And when she talks about it, it was like way, way, way back. It was a long time. It was before she had decided to change change the house around and decided to put the name on the stone. She had sent it, but it was like years ago and it just never got sent. Yeah. And Arlene's saying yes to me about something. I love when people agree with me. You're my best friend, Arlene, right now. Yes, Roxanne. I believe that Jacob took a picture of something that got him into trouble with a smuggler. Hallmark really has been emphasizing those Polaroid pictures. I know. And
he could have caught a picture of something Danny's dad was doing wrong. And so Danny feels guilty and hasn't said what happened to Jacob because he'd get his father in trouble. Right. That's one. Yeah, that's a possibility.
Right. So Timothy, IMDb has listed 31 actors, but only named 4 present versions to appear in all 10 episodes. Something I wanted to tell you about IMDb. It's limited. IMDb that everybody has access to isn't always accurate or up to date. If you wanted the accurate, up to date one, you have to, it's a membership. You have to apply for it and pay for it. So I haven't looked at the version you see unless you've paid for it and applied for it. But I could tell you what I could see on my end on the professional one. But yes, there's the whole list. They have all of them and they tell who's in what episodes. But what else happens too is that only if their people put their credits in. Sometimes people don't, like their management, it's not something they care to put in, so they don't. So we can only rely on that so much. What's it say? It may be helpful to timestamp if you've seen someone next time, easier to check, you know. Timestamp.
You talking about the game?
Yeah, that we are timestamped.
We are timestamping it.
Yeah, it is timestamped. That's how we know. It's exactly timestamped on our end. Yeah. All right. The episode when Alice is missing, Dell is standing on the cliff of a body of water and seems reflective about something. It's true. It's true. That's why I think that whole they're not there in a fishing industry for nothing, that somehow comes into play. Maybe it's not a big deal for this season. Maybe in their long, nobody writes a season and writes a story and says, oh yeah, one season. You know what I mean? Script writers, producers, they're going in for the long term, and maybe, it'll be bigger as, the next season comes along. All right. This is interesting. What's this? The real Ram. Oh, I remember that before. I think when Dell wrote the letter, it was part of the grieving process, and the letter was never meant to be read or shared. Yeah. You think Danny? But Danny was a little guy at the time. You think he's holding them hostage now? Yeah. You know what, Jan? We do hear them all the time laughing and giggling because they're always in the woods playing. That's why I was like, always in that woods. Yeah. Arlene says, could you get the director Grant Harvey on? His directing has been excellent. Arlene, something interesting about this show. There are so many hands in this show. Grant is like one of many. And yes, I will reach out. They just the other day updated everything all the way down to the financials, the people who are in charge of the financials, the people who were in charge of COVID. There's this whole big, long list of new people that they have in there. So Byron sent the letter. You know what, Kathy? Byron sent the letter. That Byron. Mm-hmm. If Byron doesn't have a nefarious, it's like a nefarious side, he's one of the most boring characters. They have to spice him up.
That's what I mean. He's just way too boring.
All right. So I wanted to close with this. I know that some of you already know this, and I love it that you pointed it out. And I am not trying to take credit for anything. I just didn't know how many people would recognize these songs, only because we have different tastes and they have some like hard rock in here. So all of the episodes, except the very first one that's Mothers and Daughters, The mothers and daughters song I know, I think they're all, let me get my words together. I'm jumbled here. Yeah, I'm tired. All the titles of all the episodes are song titles. And I think that's funny because one of the writers on When Calls the Heart, he does that, right? We had him on as a guest.
Mhm.
And he always, okay. So all of these songs tend to be from the 90s, especially 1999, which I think is great. But the first episode is Mothers and Daughters. That's an old country western song. It's like from the 70s, I think. Unless there's one that I missed out on. But they have Blink in there with one of their songs. Scar Tissue is the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That was in 1999. Aerosmith's in there. I think that was like a 97. Blink 182 is a 99 song. Then they even have a song from, oh, I love her, the Canadian singer. I think that might be next week. So that's just a little trivia. Check it out when you have nothing better to do, people. Yes, Jan, the laughing happens more than once. It happens with Alice, and it also, when she first came through, and it also happens with Kat, actually. If you pay attention, and when she's there, you can hear it. And I think it's always the kids. They're laughing and playing in the woods. Yes.
You know, I've always thought deep down that Dell knows exactly about the pond and the time travel, and she just keeps her own counsel. But then thinking about it, I'm wondering if she would let Jacob just run rampant playing in the woods, knowing that, you know, he could easily encounter this pond or fall in or go swimming or whatever. I'm now wondering if I've been totally off base on that.
And how about she was nervous. And I think we're reading her wrong. This is funny quote. I'm sorry, I'm going to highlight that because that's hilarious. Maybe we're reading her wrong as the actress portraying the type of person she is and how she handles life and stress, because she puts on that full face. It's all fine. It's good. And then when you see people away from her, she sort of like crumbles a little bit. So maybe she really was flipped out, panicked when Alice first went missing. We're all taking it as, we're reading it as, oh, she really knows and is not saying anything, right? But maybe I saw her crumble when I went back to watch it, and I was thinking,
she does that a lot. I mean, when she was with Byron at the movies and she saw Colton, she crumbled and she's like, I'm being unfaithful, and she pulls her hand back and she just kind of went into herself. And Byron didn't react at all.
I know. There's something. Yeah.
There's something off about the guy, I think. I could be proved wrong by next week, but we'll see.
I know why, Kathy, because, you know, you're waiting for your man to come back on.
Grandpa Hunky. Yep.
Grandpa Hunky. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. That's hilarious. So next episode is Sarah McLachlan. That's it. Building a Mystery. Yes, she's the Canadian singer. I love her, actually. All of them have titles of songs, which I think is so cool. So this is the thing that made me chuckle, Kathy. Batman would be impressed by some detective skills in this chat.
No kidding. Batman and Columbo and yeah.
I always tell my students, oh, I have to be a gumshoe today. And they're like, gumshoe? I had to explain what that meant to them. It was so funny because they leave their names off the stuff. Mr. Understood, I have to put I know I'm digressing here. Mr. Understood, I have to put my name on this. And I'm like, oh, no. I like a good mystery. Let me see if I can figure out who this belongs to. Yeah, put your name on it. Right? I'm not a gumshoe. Only for stuff like this. All of us here. Let's see. We've got something for you, Kathy, that Jan is saying. It could be that Dell told Jacob to stay away from the pond and thought that was enough.
Yeah, what is he, like 8 or 9? Yeah, Dell, good. Yeah, telling him that one time would not be a magnet to get over there right away and see what's going on. I think she's a better mom. I hope she is.
Kathy's saying Dell called the police to look for her, and you could see the relief on her face when Alice came home. Yes, that's the part that's making me think. I don't know. That's the part that's making me think that it's not like she really does know everything.
Right.
You know, I don't know. Here is Jan saying Byron's just giving Dell her space. Maybe we're reading into that too much.
No. I think he's a rotter.
Wow. Could this whole story be Dell's being told by Kat while Kat comes home to take care of Dell suffering from Alzheimer's?
Like The Notebook?
There's another movie like that too. It's a good series. I don't know. And it's called, it's almost got the same title. It's not The Way Home. It's A Home of My Own, or A Place of My Own. That it's Australian. It's really good. And that's what she is. She's very old and she's retelling her whole story. She's on her deathbed for 5 or 6 seasons. And
wow.
I know, no.
Talk about lingering.
No.
Just pull the plug already. 5 or 6 seasons.
Elliot knows everything. I don't think, what is she?
Yeah. Elliot's the man.
Kathy is saying Elliot knows everything. I don't think Dell does. And Jan says, Kathy, you have to come to lunch with us. Listen, Kathy, come on, you have to get on the plane and come on over here.
One of these days, I'm going to do it.
We were thinking of this wonderful road trip too. And after everybody heard about it, we could pick up people along the way.
A caravan.
Yes, like Lillian, who's in New York, said she wants to join, and Jan and Kathy that are here in Jersey, and we'd all get into the car and we drive out to the Midwest, and we would stop and we'd pick up Deb and we'd pick up you. And I forget where we were going. Valentine, Nebraska. I think we were going to go visit there.
So we're going to go to the pond and go skinny dipping.
I'm not getting in that pond. That pond is got, like, I grew up with a pond that has leeches. No.
Wake up and, 2502 skinny dipping. Like,
I know.
Where are we?
You know what we could have? And I would love to organize things like this. I think we could have like a little whoever's in the area come and get together for like a day or two and revolve it around, either Hallmark or this show or whatever. I think that would be fun for us to have like a little convention and get to.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm going to tell Maria about that. Yeah. Maria, like their publicists. Oh, we have to talk about this behind the scenes, and let's see. Where everybody's like road trip. Oh yes, and I can't forget my Ohio peeps. They'll be joining. That goes without saying. You just get in the suitcase and hop on with us. All right.
Brian. Oh, Brian. He asked me a question. Kathy, is Elliot the new Pastor Frank? No, actually, Grandpa Hunky is the new Pastor Frank. Elliot's just adorable. I mean, he's
Elliot's like Lucas Bouchard, Chris McNally.
Yes,
they could play brother sister.
Elliot is the Way Home's version of Lucas Bouchard. Exactly.
Yes, they could be brothers.
Yeah,
I know. Okay.
And oh my gosh, they both have waited patiently for years for the woman they love to come to her senses and realize that he is the man for them. So yeah, they are very much alike.
Do you remember someone said they jumped in the pond and they wound up in Hope Valley?
Yes. That was hysterical.
They both have ponds, but their ponds look a little different.
Yep.
Okay, Mickey and Minnie. What's Mickey and Minnie saying? What if this isn't time travel at all? What if this is young Cat or Alice's dream? We've seen that. There ought to be a book written about me. When I grow up, I will write one, but I'm grown up now, Alice in Wonderland. But it also could be that this is the book. This is the story that Kat wanted to tell. Remember, they wanted to tell about her brother, but maybe there's way more to it. And then she will write it. And instead of it being truthful, because no one would believe it, she would write it
as fiction.
Yeah.
And it will be dedicated to the love of my life, Elle.
I know, right? I know. All right. So Arlene says, and we'll end on this note, someone mentioned Chris could play Elliot's brother. I had just said it now, but before I know what Arlene you're talking about, there was a picture of Chris McNally and he is playing a teacher in more than one movie. Or series. He in Firefly Lane, and he's sitting, I think, in the auditorium, and he has like a really close beard, like Elliot does. And then they put Elliot, the character of Elliot, side by side, and the way they were dressed, and they could very much be brothers, except Elliot does not have the height that, or the actor Evan does not have the height that Chris has. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Next week, you'll get to meet Nick. We're going to ask Nick, where are you, Nick? Why didn't we see any pictures of you on social media except for your hand and your helmet? And will you recognize Alice in the present time? And isn't that kind of creepy? And
there's all kinds of inappropriate questions we're going to ask this poor guy.
The poor guy. No, we're going to talk about his career too, because he has a nice little career. Then we'll support that, and everybody will want to go run back and try to find, what he's been in. He's a cutie patootie for sure. Yep. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. See you next week.
See you next week. Good night.
You need to do your ad thing?